Alright folks, happy Thursday to everyone tuning in. Hope you're all feeling good. Today we're doing things a bit different. We're taking a little break from the current news cycle. Don't worry, we'll get back to that tomorrow. But for now, I want to look ahead. We've got a big match coming up this weekend, but beyond that, I've been thinking a lot about next season and what the UEFA Champions League could look like for Celtic. A few things have come up recently that really got me reflecting on what's in store. Some of it we touched on briefly yesterday, but I felt it deserved a proper dive today. Now, a while back, I did a wee video that touched on some similar stuff. We talked about coefficients, financial aspects, all that. Some of you even commented on the location I filmed it at, and I enjoyed doing that one. But today's focus is different. Today it's about where Celtic stand for the next European campaign. There's a lot to unpack, especially after some of the new info that surfaced. Before diving in, I want to quickly mention something important, just for your own peace of mind. Online safety. If you travel often or just want to keep your information private, a virtual private network is genuinely worth looking into. It lets your phone or laptop appear like it's in a different country, which is brilliant for staying connected to. Celtic while abroad. Say you're on a trip and don't want to miss a big match. A VPN can help you access your usual streams no matter where you are. And that's something worth having in your back pocket, especially with big games potentially. Falling around holiday times or away from home. Right, let's get stuck into it. The big change for next season is this. The winners of the Scottish Premiership will no longer go straight into the Champions League group stage. That's a major shift. For the past 3 seasons, the league champions were granted direct entry. And that was largely thanks to the efforts of a certain team racking up the coefficient points to make it happen. Regardless of club loyalties, the benefit was shared. But that's over now. For the first time in 4 years, whoever wins the league, and hopefully that's Celtic, will have to go through qualifying rounds to make it into the Champions League. The good news is it's not as bad as it used to be. Back in the days of 2017 or 2018, Celtic had to navigate 4 separate qualifying rounds to reach the group stage. That's brutal, but this time around, it's just 1 round. That's a big difference. The playoff round is scheduled for the 19th or 20th of August, with the return leg on the 26th or 27th. So it's not a marathon, but it's still a hurdle we need to clear. If we get through that round, we're in. 36 teams in this new look Champions League format, and we'd be one of them. But if we don't make it, then we drop into the Europa League. Not ideal, but not the end of the world either. As things stand, only 1 team is locked into the Champions League playoff round, the champions of Norway. That might raise some eyebrows depending on how the Europa League plays out, but let's assume they're there. Joining them will be the Scottish champions, the Swiss champions, and by the way, that league's been incredibly tight, could be any 1 of 6 teams, and then the Austrian champions. That's most likely going to be between Austria Wien, who won last time, and Red Bull Salzburg. Add to that 6 teams who will come through the earlier qualifying rounds, and we've got 10 clubs in total fighting for 5 group stage spots. Now here's where it gets tricky. To have the best chance, we need to be one of the 5 seeded teams in that playoff draw. Being seeded gives you a statistically better shot at avoiding some of the real heavy hitters in a 2-legged tie. No disrespect to anyone, but no one wants to be up against Red Bull Salzburg or Bodo Glimt in a playoff. It's stressful, it's high stakes, and it can all come down to 1 bad bounce of the ball. So will Celtic be seeded in the playoff round? That's the million-pound question. Right now, we can't say for sure. It depends on which clubs win their domestic leagues, who advances through earlier rounds, and which teams still in European competition managed to climb up the coefficient rankings before the playoff draw. I've gone through the numbers and found 8 clubs who are currently ahead of us in coefficient rankings and could potentially join us in that playoff round. If all 8 make it through and we're 9th in line, we're unseeded. Simple as that. The first name on that list is Olympiacos. They've been dominant in Greece for years and could very well win the Super League again. If they do, they start a round earlier than us but are favorites to get through. If they win those ties, they'll be seeded. Then you've got Dinamo Zagreb from Croatia. They're currently sitting in 3rd, 5 points off the top. So there's still hope they don't make it. Hajduk Split is leading, Rijeka is in 2nd. Both teams are below us in coefficients, so ideally one of them wins the league. That would work out well for us. Then there's Shakhtar Donetsk. They're chasing the title in Ukraine but sit third and 10 points behind the leaders. They've got a game in hand, but the gap is significant. If Dynamo Kyiv win the league, that's great for us. They're behind us in coefficient. If Shakhtar pulls off a comeback and takes the title, that's not so great. Red Bull Salzburg, another big one. If they win the Austrian Bundesliga, they'll be seeded without question. But they're not cruising this season. They're third at the moment, only 4 points off the lead, so the title race is wide open. If someone else like Sturm Graz wins it, that's another plus for Celtic Dash. Bodo Glimt is already in the playoff round. That's locked in. They're going to be seeded unless they win the Europa League, which seems unlikely. So we can count them as one of the 5 ahead of us. Then there's Copenhagen. They're sitting second in Denmark, just behind Midtjylland. If they win the league, they'll join the qualifying path a round before us and have the chance to be seeded if they make it through. Same thing with Crvena Zvezda in Serbia. They've got a better coefficient than us and look likely to win their league. Last but not least, Ferencvaros. We've played them in the past. They're second in Hungary at the moment, but if they manage to win the title and progress to the playoff round, they'd be seeded too. So yeah, that's 8 teams ahead of us right now. Bodo Glimt is already in, and we need at least 4 of the other 7 to fail to reach the playoff round, either by not winning their domestic leagues or by getting knocked out early. If that happens, we jump into the seeded group. It's a lot of moving parts and a bit of a guessing game at this stage. By the end of the season, we'll have a much clearer picture. If a few of those teams fall short, things look a lot brighter for Celtic. But if they all go the distance and make it to the playoffs, we're likely looking at an unseeded spot. And that means a tougher opponent. There's one football ranking platform out there that has Celtic projected to reach the group stage of the Champions League. I don't know exactly how they come to that conclusion, but it's clear they got faith in us to get through that final hurdle. That said, based on last season's performances, we can't exactly claim to be the team no one wants to face. Not anymore. We've got to earn that reputation again. Their prediction even listed some potential opponents: a Ukrainian side from a major city, an Austrian team, a Swiss club, and one from Sweden. It's probably outdated already since it was made in late February or early March, but it gives us an idea of the kind of teams we might be up against. And just for clarity, like if a lower ranked team knocks out a seeded team in an earlier round, they take their seeding in the next round. That's how the draw works. So you could face a relatively unknown team that's technically seeded because of who they beat. Imagine a playoff tie against a team from Sweden or Croatia. That's the kind of matchup we're probably looking at if we're seeded. If not, it could be someone like Salzburg or Olympiacos. And that's a tougher route, no question. Saying a match against Bodo Glimt would be tricky is putting it mildly. But let's not forget, we were a whisker away from beating a big team away from home in Europe not that long ago. We've shown we can do it. We should feel confident going into this next campaign. It's not going to be easy, but there's every reason to believe this team can rise to the occasion. And with the qualifier set for the end of August, we'll already be a few games into the domestic season. That means we won't be going in cold. By then, you'd hope any new signings will be settled, the squad will have found its rhythm, and we'll be ready for that all-important playoff round. The Scottish Premiership kicks off the first weekend of August, so we'll get 2 or 3 competitive matches under our belts before the European action begins. That's a solid foundation. But before I go, there's still a wee bit more to say about what's coming next. As we move closer to that playoff window, it's vital that we treat these matches with the same seriousness as we would a cup final. The stakes are just as high. If we manage to qualify for the Champions League again, it'll be our 4th straight appearance in the group stage. And that's something we've never done in our history. Since the competition changed its name back in 1992, we've only ever made it 3 times in a row. Hitting that 4th would be a landmark moment for the club. It shows progress, consistency, and the kind of stability that's been lacking at times. More importantly, it sets the tone for the future. Getting to the Champions League 4 years running would not only be a proud achievement, but also a signal to other clubs that Celtic are back to being a regular force in Europe. And even in the worst case scenario, dropping into the Europa League, we're still guaranteed at least 8 European matches. That's a big opportunity to gain experience, pick up points for our coefficient, and possibly make a real run in the tournament. There's a sense among the support that we're in a better place now. The performances this past season in Europe weren't perfect, but they showed growth. We've taken steps forward, And with another solid transfer window and a strong start to the new season, there's no reason we can't build on that. Also, worth remembering, the league has confirmed clubs can request to postpone their domestic fixture that falls between the two legs of the playoff. That's huge. It gives us breathing room time to focus fully on that vital tie. The draw for the playoff is set for the 4th of August. It's still a few months away, but it's never too early to get prepared. You can be sure the club's already doing his homework. We'll leave it there for today. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important. For Celtic FC fans, Celtic's dreams of securing Georgi Kochorashvili were crushed in dramatic fashion as their last-minute bid for the Georgian international was ultimately too little, too late. The Scottish Giants had hoped to lure the midfield maestro to Glasgow, but their late push was swiftly countered by Sporting Lisbon, who had already laid the groundwork for his signing. The Levante star, a driving force behind his club's promotion charge and a standout for Georgia at Euro 2024, had caught the attention of multiple European sides. But it was Sporting who acted with precision, finalizing a $5 million deal over the weekend, complete, with a 12.5% sell-on clause. As news of the agreement broke, it became clear that Celtic's intervention had triggered a frantic scramble behind the scenes. Sources in Spain revealed that Levante hurriedly sealed the transfer after Celtic attempted to hijack the move with a late bid. Unwilling to risk losing their pre-arranged agreement with Sporting, the Spanish club rushed to finalize terms, ensuring the deal would stand. The timing of the announcement, outside the usual transfer window and at such a critical juncture in the season, only added to the intrigue. It has since emerged that Sporting had negotiated a clause back in January allowing them to secure Kochorashvili's signature immediately if any rival club made an approach. And that's precisely what happened. Celtic's bid forced Levante's hand, leading to the hasty confirmation of the move before any further complications could arise. For Celtic, it was a brutal and agonizing miss. Kochorashvili, a defensive midfield powerhouse and a national hero after scoring Georgia's Nations League winner against Albania last month, was within reach. But just as quickly as the opportunity emerged, it slipped away, leaving the Scottish side to wonder what might have been. Hello, fan! Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.